Hey everyone, God bless you. So, basically, this video is actually a dream that I had last year. I've been asked by a lot of people to make this video, going on over a year now. And honestly, I've tried. I would download these apps, try them out, and sometimes it would, pick up the screen, but it wouldn't pick up my voice. So I was having a hard time, kept pushing it off, I'll do it next week, I'll do it next week. And finally, it was just placed in my heart, just do it now. And so, basically, I just want to mention that this video and my page, it's going to be more dedicated towards my dreams, more so like a video diary for me personally of my dreams that I can keep an account of if I want to go back and listen to them. I'm not stating that I'm a prophet. I'm not, I understand that dreams can come from God, can come from the enemy, and just your mind. Like, I get that. But I truly believe this dream was from God. And the reason why I say that is because the dream that I had was so horrific that I had so many questions, which led me to look for answers in the Bible. And that's where my relationship grew with Christ. I didn't immediately get saved. It was like a month after, but that's what started it. That was me seeking Him. And let me just break down that I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask to have this dream. I didn't pray for it. And actually, let me also mention something else. Since I was a child, I want to say as young as 4, I've always had dreams. That's when they started. Dreams of the world ending, of these balls of fire just coming out of the sky, the whole town and city engulfed in flames, earthquakes, tsunamis. Like, they started so young for me. And I'm gonna be honest, I was afraid. I was scared. It got to the point that I was scared to go to bed. I could not sleep. And I didn't know why this was happening to me. But I also thought as a child, oh, well, maybe this is normal. Maybe everybody has these kind of dreams. And I eventually confided in a couple like classmates. I think I was like in maybe first or kinder or preschool. I had told some of the kids there. I even confided with some family members, and I got in trouble. Like, I actually got in trouble. I got bullied. I was told that I was crazy, I was weird, that there was something wrong with me, that you can't talk like this. So eventually I got discouraged and I kept it to myself. And these dreams continued throughout my whole life. Okay. So it's nothing new for me. And I wasn't being, I wasn't allowed to really watch stuff like that growing up. And plus I was scared. Like, you're not going to see me sitting there watching these type of movies at 4. So it's just like it was weird. It just like came out of nowhere. And why? Okay. So like I said, I've always had these dreams since I was little. And like I said, I got discouraged from ever sharing them again. So it would be natural for me to feel some type of way, to not want to share this dream. Okay, just to make that clear. So me doing this is really taking a huge leap here. And I will not tolerate any type of disrespect or name callings under this video. I will delete it just because it hits so personal to me, because this is something that I've dealt with since I was 4. So it brings back those old wounds that are trying to heal from being called all these names and being bullied. But if you do get to the end of the dream, the I don't even know what I say, dream, the dream. Forgive me for my speech right now. I'm literally that nervous. But like I said, if you do get to the end of this video, thank you, you know. So it might be a little long. For some reason, I remember everything in my dream, everything. And I'm going to give details of everything in this dream. And like I said, I've always had these dreams. I've dreamt of angels, demons, the world ending, judgment day, earthquakes, like all these crazy things since I was 4. But this dream is a little bit different than the rest of them. And the reason why I say that is because I started to ask questions. So that's what makes it, I feel special, because it ultimately led me to get saved. Okay, so let's get into it already. So last year, October 2019, and just to give an account of what I did that day, so nobody tries to say, oh, well, it's something you saw on TV, it's a movie. Like, I was watching YouTube videos on baking cupcakes and treats for my kids. Okay, that's what I was watching. Literally looking at recipes and, women baking stuff in their kitchen. So how do you go from that, go to bed, to like the world ending? It was really just random, out of nowhere. So, okay, so that's what happens. I go to bed, and okay, in my dream, it was dark. It was nighttime, obviously. I was standing with a group of 3 other individuals, 2 males and a female, and we were in the parking lot of the trolley station. Now, I'm originally from Cali, Southern Cali, and we got something that's the trolley station. And it's this area was in an old neighborhood that I used to live in. So I was in that parking lot. I recognized it. I knew where I was at. And the first thing I want to mention that I noticed was there was a lot of screaming. You can hear it from left, right, up, down. I mean, I heard screams everywhere. And what made it creepy for me was that they were horrible screams. Like those screams that you hear when you watch those movies of like war, people screaming and crying, the people grieving, like just terrible screams. It wasn't something like, you don't want to hear that. It's scary. It creeped me out. And they were coming from every which way direction. Just screams and screams and crying. So it's me and this woman standing next to me, and then 2 men in front of us. And they're yelling. They're yelling at me and at the girl next to me. And they're, first of all, I noticed the female. She was like in shock. Her face was terrifying. What I mean by that was whatever she had seen, whatever she had witnessed was so terrifying to the point that she was paralyzed. She was, here you go, frozen in fear. If, for lack of a better word, because that doesn't even describe what she looked like. Like, I was scared to stand next to her, okay? Because she just looked creepy looking. I was scared. So she was just frozen in fear. She wasn't moving. There was no blinking, nothing. And the guy in front of her had his hands over her shoulders, kind of shaking her back and forth, trying to wake her up, screaming, wake up, wake up. We need to run. We need to leave. And the other guy is kind of standing in front of me, but his direction was towards her, yelling at her like, get up, wake up, we gotta go. And they were just heavy on, we need to leave. We need to go to the mountains and hide. We need to go to the caves up in the mountains and hide. We need to find safety. We need to find shelter. Like, that's all they kept saying. I don't know why. I don't know what that means. But that's what they kept saying. We need to go up to the mountains, into the caves, and hide. Like, that's the only place we're going to find safety and shelter. And so at this point, I start to kind of look around at my surroundings, try to get a feel of what's going on, what is happening, why do we need safety, why do we need shelter, why do I need to go to the mountain and hide, like what's going on. And I turn around and I'm looking, and it is just complete chaos. I mean, people running everywhere. It was just, I've never seen anything like this before. The whole world was in shambles. Like, I've never seen anything like it. It was foreign to me. This is not something that's normal. And this one lady caught my attention. She wasn't that far from me, maybe 15 feet. Not that far from me. She was, when you come down of the the parking lot, there's like a road. And then there's a little sidewalk there with like some apartments. And she was standing right there on the sidewalk. She was next to a stroller that had a little pink baby blanket in the stroller. And she was screaming. And I noticed that she had just a bunch of hair in her hand. And it was actually her hair as I'm like watching her. She was pulling her hair out, like just yanking it out of her scalp and oh dear God, her screams, I will never forget. And I recognize that scream. I know what it sounds like because I'm a nurse, and I had a patient whose baby had died. And when I heard the mother screaming, it's like a bone piercing scream. When you hear it, you never forget it. A mother's cry when she loses a child, you just do not forget the sound of it. It's a different type of sound. And I knew what it was. And I believe that's why she, my attention was on her, because I know what that is, and I know what it sounds like. She was screaming her daughter's name, and she was yanking her hair out of her scalp, just crying and screaming. And you can see her scalp, like some of the skin from tearing out so much of her hair. You can see blood, some of the skin tears, like you can see all that. Wow, it was creepy, you guys. And like I said, she's screaming her daughter's name. Her daughter was gone. Okay, there was no baby in the stroller. The baby was gone. And there was others who you can hear, like I said, that bone piercing cry. You can hear it from other directions, but she was the closest to me. So that's why my attention was basically kind of focused on her. And my heart just broke as a mother myself. My heart, I just wanted to go and hug her. Like I was crying. Like I'm already crying at this point, okay? And thinking this is the worst, it gets even worse. So I'm not one who's unfamiliar with earthquakes. I've been in some. I've felt some. I felt, the tremors, the platelets shifting underneath the ground. So I recognize what it sounds like and what it feels like when it happens. And I heard the ground rumbling. So when it started to rumble, it came from one end of the parking lot and kind of underneath me, just boom, 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 boom. You could hear, it was loud. It sounded like an animal. It was so loud. It came under me and went all the way towards the street, and not that far from where the woman next to the stroller, where she was standing, not too far from her. And the ground began to crack. And when it did, I seen steam, like heat or something, coming out of the ground. And unfortunately for people that just happened to be running by at that exact moment, fell right in. And I'm telling you, the ground, it reminds me of when I was in school in Cali, and they teach you about the San Andreas fault. Like they say that's going to be like the craziest earthquake, like the way they made it seem when I grew up. I don't know why I just thought about that, but it was insane. It was crazy. And it was causing a shift that whoever was near and around it could not keep their balance. You just can't hold yourself up. I'm sorry, you can't. You either fell down and knocked your head, or you're going to fall in. And I could see other people trying to hold on to the ones that they could to try to get them out. They were screaming, and like I said, you could see the heat, and it's just cracking open. There's no stopping it. At this point, I'm terrified. And I get on board with, okay, these two men that are standing in front of me, they're right. We do need to find safety. We do need to find shelter. So I don't know why, but I decided to look up. And when I did, okay, number one, the stars. There was a lot of stars in the sky. Like, you don't really see stars when you're in the city, or you grew up in the city. Like, you're not used to stars. Unless you go camping out in the woods where you can see them visibly, but you're just not used to stars. There was a lot in the sky. And I thought that was weird because I've never seen anything like that before. And they were moving. they, I had to look for a moment because I didn't know. I didn't know if they were just like kind of moving in the air in the sky. But the more I look, I noticed they're coming down. They were coming down. And they were very fast. And I noticed that they were these big rocks of just fire, like these big balls of fire. And they ranged in different sizes. It wasn't like they were all the same size. Some were as small as a golf ball, some were as large as an apartment complex. I mean, they, like I said, different sizes, and they were coming down. And then they came, and it was like pop, 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 just hitting. I remember one, just fell on top of a car. You can, the other cars that were near that car, alarms started going off. So it's just hectic. Half of an apartment building just got engulfed in flames from one of the rocks coming down. You just see, they're just coming down from everywhere. So now I got to worry about this earthquake not to get swallowed in. And now there's big balls of fire coming out of the sky. Now I got to try not to get burned. And I know I'm making it probably sounds like it's not that serious the way I'm explaining it, but trust me, I'm trying to contain myself from breaking down and crying because how terrifying it was. This is mainly for me to try to keep my composure to finish this video. So I do apologize if it sounds like I'm not serious, but it is. And I'm going to apologize in advance if I do cry, because there is beauty at the end of this video. There is good news at the end of the video. It'll be like the end of the dream, however you want to say it. So, like I said, fire's coming down, and it's lighting up the sky a little bit from the fire. And I noticed these two clouds, very dark clouds. And it caught my attention. And I'm looking at them. And they began to separate. And when they did, a pillar of fire came out of the sky. A pillar of fire, you guys. If you've ever seen those videos where those people who risk their lives trying to catch tornadoes, and they're trying to get the beginning formations when they're coming out of the sky, it looked just like that, twirling down like a tornado, but fire. And it started to just burn up, just burning up the whole city. And I'm terrified. I'm freaking out. My heart rate, I thought my heart was going to explode out of my chest. My anxiety is at 1,000,000. I noticed that I didn't have time to think about my kids. I wasn't focused on anything but living. I just wanted to live. I didn't want to die. The meanings to want to live. Okay. And I'm looking everywhere. I'm just trying to find safety at this point because I didn't want to die. I was so afraid to die. And I seen other people that were in so much fear. There was an older man. I seen him collapse on the floor. And he was having a seizure. You could see the foaming out the mouth, and he just collapsed and he didn't wake up. He was gone. So much fear. There's a lot of fear. And I'm looking anywhere. I'm just at the point, I just don't want to die, right? And I notice, okay, so I said I'm in the parking lot, right, of the trolley station. And to the front, I guess the front view of it, where I'm standing, is the trolley tracks. And on both of the sides of the tracks, you got the benches where people sit and wait for the trolley to come. And I notice this group of people standing, waiting for the trolley. They were standing on both sides of the tracks, waiting. And there was just something off about these people. Now, first of all, they were glowing. There was like this light all around them, like a bluish, purplish, whitish. I really can't explain the color, but they were glowing in this beautiful light. All of them were glowing with this light. And another thing, they were calm. It was like they were not affected by everything that was going on around them, kind of like they didn't even know, like they were just not affected by it. It's like it wasn't happening. They were not reacting like the entire world. I thought that was weird. I'm like, do they not see what I'm seeing? Because we're standing in the same, we're not that, maybe what, 15 feet apart? We're not that far from each other. How is it that these people, these glowing light people, are not reacting to what I'm seeing? This is, I don't know what it was. But I knew that whatever it is that got them this calm, that they have this peace, I need that. I want that. And so I separated from the group that I was with. They ended up leaving, running towards I actually seen them as I'm walking towards, the trolley tracks. I looked just to see them, and they ran. They went up to the mountains to hide. And so I followed these group of people. And there was a lot, I mean, not many, but there was enough to fill, a trolley station. And they were all glowing. And I made my way in. I'm talking shoulder to shoulder. I'm trying to shove my way in up to the front to kind of get a view of what's going on. Like, what are we waiting for? What are they looking for? And I'm standing there, and the people across from me on the other side, I'm looking at their faces, and immediately I notice my heart rate is coming down. My anxiety is coming down. My vital signs basically are all coming back to normal. I'm feeling this peace. I noticed that this peace and this comfort that was not there before. And they're smiling at me, and some of them were waving. It was, I don't know. It just felt, it was just beautiful. I honestly cannot describe that. But they were smiling at me. Some were waving. And I noticed this one lady, she was actually a patient of mine years ago. I miss her so much. She's no longer with us. She's, since, transitioned already to heaven. But she was a patient of mine. This was during a time in my nursing career where I was working in a nursing home. I've been in many places in my nursing career: behavioral health, unit, the ER, labor delivery unit. I've, telemetry unit, surgery. Like, I've been in different places basically. And the nursing home was one of the places I've been in my career. And she was one of the patients there. Now, anybody who's been in a nursing home knows that the elderly, they should know the care. They should know what I'm talking about. She was underweight. Like, the last time I had seen her, she wasn't the best. She couldn't get up. She was like a 2 assisted transfer. Eventually, you needed a Hoyer lift. Like, she just could not, she just needed so much help. Like, so much help. And when I seen her, she was standing. And I wanted to cry. Because you grow this bond with your patients, because some of them do not have family. If their family doesn't see them, they're alone most of the time. That loneliness can kill you, and you're the closest thing to a family they have. And so you have a love for these patients like your family. You have a love for them. You care for them. And she was one of those. For me, she's family to me, actually. I'm going to just say that. She's family. She's my family. And you just want the best for them, And to see her standing without a wheelchair was just, wow. It was beautiful. And she looked healthy. That's another thing. She was so healthy. She wasn't underweight. There was no malnourishment. Like, she was healthy, and she was young. Another thing, she didn't look, she wasn't the age that she was. She was much younger. And she waved at me and smiled. And as much as I wanted to run up to her in her arms and hug her, I don't know. There were just so much going on. I just couldn't believe what was going on. The feeling, like I said, it's just, I cannot describe it. And so there was a man standing next to me to the left of me. And I turned and I looked up. And it was my tío. Now, tío is Spanish for uncle, in case nobody knows. But my tío actually passed away in 2015 from an aneurysm, and he was a believer. And I seen him. And when I seen him, I said, Tío, and my eyes just, you know, that choking feeling where you're about to break down to a point that you can't talk. I felt it coming on. I could feel my throat starting to choke up. My eyes were, I was just ready to break down and fall to my knees and cry because I cannot believe I'm standing next to my tío, who I love and I miss so much. And I, he smiled at me, and he raised his arm up and pointed towards the direction where the trolley was going to come. And he said, "Don't be afraid, just look." Now I want to mention something here, because I don't understand what this means, but when he spoke, he didn't move his lips. The words didn't come out of his mouth. I can hear him audibly perfectly, as if I'm hearing, you know, if I'm talking to someone face to face, like that conversation, you know, it was weird because it was like I can hear him through my mind. You see, this don't make no sense. And someone's probably going to think I'm crazy. I don't know what this means. I don't know why, but it's like we spoke through our mind. Like we couldn't speak through our mouth, but I can hear him perfectly. Like I can hear it. And so just to mention this, everybody there who was glowing in this light, they all spoke through their mind. Like we can have a conversation, but without opening our lips or without moving our lips. Again, I don't know why. I don't know what that means. But like I said, he smiled and he told me through his mind. But like I said, I can hear him. He said, "Don't be afraid, just look." And he pointed. And so I turned my head and I looked the direction my tío was pointing. And I see the light of the trolley. Because like I said, it's nighttime. So you can see, you know, a tiny little light. And it gets bigger and it gets bigger. You know, it's coming. And finally it made a stop. And this light, I don't even know. I'm going to just say I've never seen nothing this white. I don't even know if that makes sense, because white can't get no whiter, right? The color white can't get no whiter than white. But it was bright, like, well, it was bright. It was really white. We're just going to say that. And out of this light, I noticed people coming out of the light. And at first, for like the first few seconds, they were kind of confused, kind of like, where am I at? But then they immediately started seeing their loved ones, and they're running up to them in their arms, hugging them. And I was basically watching reunion after reunion after reunion with loved ones. It was so beautiful. And another thing, confetti started coming out of the sky. I just remember seeing confetti kind of falling everywhere, the little pieces of confetti on the ground. You know, I'm assuming celebration, right? The people that were glowing in this light were screaming. And again, nobody spoke with their mouth. So remember the mind thing. You can hear them though. It reminds me of, let's go to Super Bowl, because people be making a really big deal. Well, men, when their team wins, how crazy the crowd gets, like the screams of joy of the victory, you know, the way they get. I'm sure you've seen the videos. It was like that. The victory, the joy, they were just happy. And I just seen people reunite with people, their loved ones, their family, who I'm assuming they haven't seen or they miss. And I was right there to watch it. And it was overwhelming to see that. So I noticed one woman who came out of this light, and it was my tía, which is my tío's wife, my aunt. She came out, and I could see my uncle kind of waving his arms. "Over here, babe, over here, babe, right here." And she ran to him. It kind of fell in his arms to where he's like kind of picking her up. And they're just giving each other kisses like all over the face, like the forehead, kisses on the nose, on the cheek, on the chin, the ear. I mean, just kind of kissing each other everywhere. And he's telling her, babe, you made it. I'm so happy you made it. Babe, you made it. He kept telling her that. At this point, I lost it. I'm crying. And this part right here in my dream means so much to me. I actually had to call my aunt and tell her about this, because after he passed away, there's been many conversations, you know, will he remember me? Do just those thoughts that you have of a loved one. Will they know me? Will they know my name? Well, I miss him so much. Do you think he's in heaven? He's just the normal human questions that you have when someone passes on. And she's like, how do you think it will be when I see him? Will he give me a hug? Well, many of those conversations led to tears, and to be able to witness that. It was beautiful to just call her and tell her what happened. She was crying a lot. She says that's, I've always questioned, like, why me, God? Like, why not her? To give her that comfort, that peace of mind. But it was me. And I'm not regretting it. I'm not, none of that. No, I'm honored. I'm blessed to have that. But it was beautiful. It was beautiful to see that. And I'm crying because to be able to witness that, because I know how much she missed him. And here I am watching them. And so at this point, I'm looking at the light, trying to see, okay, well, who else is going to come out? Who else from my family? And I noticed the light started to dim out. It was getting ready to turn on, like, I guess turn off is the best way I can explain it, to go out. And the last person to make it out was my older brother. Now, when he came out, like I said, he was a little confused at first. He's looking around, and he looked at me, and I just kind of waved my arm up and said, hey, over here. And he came, and he gave me a hug. And he said, are you okay? Now, when he said that, it just kind of took me back. I remembered, oh, wow, like, the world is ending. Like, I had forgot about the earthquake, the people, the fire coming out of the sky, the pillar of fire. Like, I had that was all gone. I didn't even remember that. So when he said, are you okay? It just kind of clicked in my head, and I didn't know how to tell him what was happening. So I looked around just to double check to see how much more damage has been done, because the whole time that I was standing here, I completely forgot. And when the moment I turned my head to look, the sun started to rise, and there was no damage. Like, nowhere there was no damage at all of what was happening. Like, everything was gone. The crowds of people running, screaming, they were gone. It was just whoever was there in that light. And this, like I said, the sun came up, and I noticed that it was wet. And what I mean was, when it rains, the concrete, the trees on top of the cars, like, you see the droplets of water, like, it just rained, okay? You can smell the rain from the concrete. When it's rain. Everything was wet, but I don't remember rain. It never rains. The only things that came out of the sky that I remember were confetti and the balls of fire and the pillow of fire. I don't remember any rain coming down, but everything was wet as if it did rain. Another thing was, there was a strong aroma of roses. Now, there wasn't a rose in sight. We are standing, near the trolley, like at a trolley station, train station, however you want to call it. There's really no flowers or plants in that area. Everything's concrete built. It was just weird to smell roses. It was very strong enough to the point that if you're holding a bouquet up to your nose, but even that doesn't compare to it. Very strong. And I remembered the pillar of fire and the balls of fire from the sky. So I looked up to see if if that was still there. And when I did, I seen this beautiful rainbow as it's appearing in the sky, kind of forming, like a bow, or coming, from one end to the other across the sky. I seen it forming this beautiful rainbow. And after that, that's when I woke up. And I had I was terrified. I was in fear, because me describing it doesn't even compare to what I seen. Like, it doesn't compare. It's more horrific than that. But I was afraid. I was very, very, very scared. And what I did was, I started having all these questions. And for a month, I was just trying to find answers. And eventually I was led to the Bible. And that's when I noticed some things in the Bible, or, the compare and contrast with the Bible, and some things in my dream. And I won't go too deep. I won't go too further in, because this video is already hitting, 36 minutes. It's getting too long. I got to end it already. But I will come back on and make another dream. I actually want to talk about the first dream I remember as a child. So that'll be on another video. And like I said, this page is going to be mainly personally for me, like a video diary of my dreams. And anyone is welcome to listen to them. But like I said, any rudeness, and if you heard in the beginning how I dealt with this, how I was bullied because of these dreams, having them since I was young, I'm just not going to tolerate it. I'm going to block you, I'm going to delete you, I'm going to do whatever. But if anybody knows what some of the stuff means, please let me know, or send me to a scripture. I am a babe in Christ. I am still, my relationship is still growing. And some others are a little bit faster, some are slower. Mine, I am eager for it to be fast and grow where I need to be, but the Lord has been taking his time with me. And I trust that his timing is perfect, not mine. And if I'm growing slow, then hey, that's what it is. I'm not going to complain about it. That's just what it is. And I'm going to keep reading my Bible. And I know that I finally know, like I said, after that dream about a month later, eventually, and I'll get into another video about this, I was led to Pastor Tim Henderson, Brother Tony Sue, Brother Greg Jackson. I was led to them, and I'll explain that. And then after a month, I really got saved. Like, truly got saved. So I thank you all if you've made it this far. And like I said, please, if you can help out with some of, because I don't understand a lot of it, of my dream. If you have some insight, feel free to let me know. But at the end of the day, this is for me. This is a page for me. A video diary of the dreams that I've had. I hope you all have a blessed day. I hope this blessed somebody in some kind of way. And God bless you.